Hey everyone, welcome back to TNT Gaming, where we are playing Astroneer. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about power. Now, power is vitally important in this game. From the very beginning all the way through the rest of the game, power is just, it's a necessity. You've got to have it. Now, when you first start, you start off with the shelter, and that provides some of the power that you need, but it doesn't provide enough. So today we're going to look at the different power generation items that are out there and how much each of these produce, how much power each of these produce, and kind of maybe give you an idea of what's good and kind of where you need to go with everything. Now, one thing we will not be looking at are the power cells because it's a consumable, it burns out over time, so it's not a reliable source of power. Like I said, when we start here with the shelter over here on my left, or the camera right, and then there are other power generation items you can either find or make. Now, over here on the left, we'll start with a small generator because it's very, very early game. Like, it's in the tutorial so early. Then we have the small solar and the small wind turbine and a small battery. We also have a medium generator, medium solar, medium wind turbine, and medium battery. And then finally, the RTG. Now, this is like very late game, but it's a consistent and constant source of power. You don't have to worry about sun, you don't have to worry about wind, you don't have to worry about any kind of consumable like organic or carbon. It doesn't run out of power like a battery. It's just there. Now, how much do each of these things produce? How much power are we getting? Because each thing is a little bit different. So when we start, I've got right here a splitter that tells us about how much power we're getting. So if you've never looked at a splitter before, on the top, there are these 3 dots, and then on the side, you'll see there's a dot that corresponds with them as well. 3 dots, and then on the back, there are 2 dots. And then on the top, 1 dot, 2 dot, and 3 dots. And if we look at the panel, 1, 2, and 3. Now, it shows us that coming in to 2 is 8 units of power. That's because the wind is blowing, we've got solar power, the generators are not on, and we've also got the battery power. So if we pull the power plug from over here, we can look at this, and it tells us that we get 1 unit of power from the shelter. Really not a lot of power. Okay, so what do each of these other ones give us? So we're going to take this small generator right here, and it runs on 1 organic for 100 seconds. So if we kick it on, we're almost out of organic there. You see we are getting 1 unit of power. Now, like I said, 1 organic will run for 100 seconds, and you see now we are out of power. So that's kind of the downside. We're getting 1 unit of power, which is equal to what this shelter gives us. But again, it's only giving us that for 100 seconds. And then we have to feed it another organic. But again, it's very early game. It's 1 compound. It's easy to make, and it does provide us some power. Now, again, when you get to the planet, you start looking around. You'll find some debris or whatever. A lot of times you can find the small solar or the medium solar or the small wind or the medium wind just laying out and about. These are great to pick up, bring back to provide more power. Now, again, the solar is great during the day, and the wind is good both day and night as long as the wind is blowing. So they each have kind of pros and cons to them, and what you use is really going to be dependent upon what planet you're on and really what you find. I mean, if it's early game, you just get to the planet, you're out looking for, you're going to take any kind of power you can get. So how much power can we get out of each of these units? So if we hook up the small solar, we go over here, we look, we're getting half a unit of power. So it's really not a lot of power coming out of that, but it is something. And what's nice about both this and the small wind is they will fit on our backpack and help us power our internal battery or recharge our internal battery. So we can put these back, and as soon as we get some wind blowing, we can check the wind turbines. We'll go ahead and check the medium solar. So the medium solar is plugged in. We've got the sun going. We're getting 2 units of power. So 4 times what we're getting out of the small solar. We check the small wind, again, half a unit of power. So that is equal to the small solar. And if we go with the medium wind, we are getting 1 unit of power, which is kind of interesting that the medium wind only gives us half as much power as the medium solar. So we get out of this 1 unit of power out of the medium wind, but 2 units of power out of the medium solar. But the small wind and the small solar each give us half unit of power. So I found that kind of interesting. So moving up, we have the medium generator. Now, these you won't typically find on the surface of the planets, but you can find them down in the caves not, I mean, it's not like all over, but it's often enough that, you know, you do a little bit of digging, you do a bit of searching, and you can find these medium generators. So we turn this on, it runs on 1 carbon for, again, 100 seconds, and we get 3 units of power. All right, so 1 carbon, of course, is just an organic that's been smelted down, and it gives us the same amount of runtime as 1 organic in the small generator, but we're getting 3 times the amount of power. So it's not quite early game. It might be like early mid game, but unless you find one, and then of course a carbon is very easy to make. It's just an organic that's been smelted, and smelting's pretty early game. So then moving on, we have batteries. Okay, so the small battery you can find out and about on the planets. All right, they're not as easy to come across as like the wind and the solar items, but you can find them. You just do enough looking and you will find the batteries. Trust me, these are great to put on the trailer or the tractors. They're good to keep on your backpack. In just the standard solo game, I always have at least 1 battery on my backpack just to keep things like right now, if you look, I have the drill mod 3 that's going to run on battery, so it just gives me a little more time for that. Again, these are easy to find, and then cost wise, it's just 1 lithium, but again, that's kind of later game because you do have to have the lithium. Now the medium battery is 1 lithium and 1 iron, so it's again not expensive, but further on in the game when you can get the lithium. So if we grab this 1 battery, we throw it over here, and we check it, you see we are getting 1 unit of power. So what's interesting about the way that these work is that 1 unit of power is, it's not just like 1 second. You know how we were talking about the generator was like 100 seconds off of 1 organic? Well, these burn down because they have, you know, it's a power cell. Well, the same thing works on these. This is, I believe, 3 units of power right there. So we have 3 units of power with much more internal storage. I want to say that it's something like 64 on the medium battery and 16 on the small battery. So that's kind of the way those work. They will burn down. I like to keep a couple of the medium batteries if I gotten to the point maybe I can't quite make the RTG, but I can make a medium battery. I'll go ahead, because it is just 1 lithium and 1 iron, so as far as the resources needed, it's not really a lot, but it will, you know, basically act as like a backup. So if you have, say, some solar and some wind, and then you've got some batteries, whether they be small or medium, when the wind or the solar die down, those batteries will kind of act as like a backup. Now, finally, moving on to the RTG. Very, very, very late game stuff, okay? 4 units of power. Now, this is what I find interesting, is that the RTG that you make is 4 units of power versus the RTG that's in the shelter, which is 1 unit of power. So you're getting 4 times the amount of power, and this is continual. This is not something that will ever go away. You don't have to feed it. You don't have to worry about wind or sun or anything like that. It is just a continual source of power. Now, we'll set this over here. All these things can be combined together. As you see right here, we have 6.5 units of power. If I just slide this over here to this, make this spot, and I go back over here, we are up to 10.5 units of power. So you can combine these, obviously. So if you can get to a point where you can have a couple RTGs, maybe a couple medium batteries, and then just a good bank of any of the solar or wind that you found out in the world, you can get a good amount of power going. I like to use the splitter. A lot of times I'll come from a power source such as this. I'll make some kind of power bank unit, depending on if it's either the large platform C or maybe the B that has, it's like a slanted, it has a bunch of different slots on it, and then run that into the shelter, and then run the, in fact, I can, let's see if I can get this to pop off. Come over here, run this into the shelter. Do I have enough? No, I have to move this. We'll bring this over here. So what I'll do is I'll run it into the shelter like this, and then come out of the shelter like so, and then I can come out of this. So now I have 11.5, 12, just depending on if I have sun or not, or wind, and I can come out of this, and we can go into here, and then from the splitter, I can then run this to 2 different areas for power. And you have sliders here that allow you, when you actually have these things hooked up, you have sliders that you can actually Still not doing it. You have sliders where you can kind of change the amount of power that's going to which area. So if you're running, say, the atmospheric condenser, which is incredibly power hungry, you can slide a little more power that way and let that thing use that power. Now, what's the most power you can get on one single item? Right, let's say we had one extra large platform C. What's the most amount of power we can get off that single unit? Well, that's this, right? Let me make sure I've unplugged this. Oh, one of the items I didn't go over. Let's take this over there. This is something that I did not go over. This is the large solar array. This is the only large power generation item that you can build. And it provides, let's plug it into this one. Now we can plug this back into here. It provides 8 units of power, which is quite a bit of power, but again, it's only useful during the day. Now, there is no large wind turbine. There's only the medium and the small, but there is a large solar array, which I found interesting. I guess a large wind turbine would be like a windmill, but they don't have those. That's not something that's in game yet, if it ever will be. So the large solar array, it's very late game. It does provide 8 units of power, which is twice what the RTG will provide. But again, it's only during the day. Now, if you have a planet like Calidor, which is like a desert planet and a lot of sun, it can be very beneficial there. But for me personally, when I get to the point that I can make the solar array, I'm either really close or at the point where I can make an RTG, and I would rather just make 2 RTGs than a solar array, because I know the RTG is going to run constantly, nonstop. Now, back to this right here, we were looking at just a second ago. This, I believe, is the most amount of power you can put onto any one platform. Now, I have the 4 RTGs that I was using to kind of charge all of these single batteries up. But if we look, 1,151 units of power. Now, again, this is battery powered, so it would drain down if there's not something to help keep it charged, but this is a lot of battery backup right here. So what it is a large extra large platform C holding 4 large storage silo Bs, which are holding medium storage silos, which are each holding small batteries. So it is, we'll pull one off to kind of look at it. It is 1 large storage silo B with 12 medium storage silos with 24 batteries each. So would you ever build this in like regular game? Probably not. Outside of creative, I don't see where this would really be that beneficial. Because if you look at it, we're talking 4 of the storage silo Bs, because that's what we're on. We're on a large platform C, which will hold 4 storage silo Bs, and each one of those holds 12 of the medium storage silos. So there's 48 medium storage silos, and each one of those holds 24 of the small batteries. That is 1,152 batteries, or units of power. Now, I think when I checked this, it was 1,151. That means I'm missing a battery somewhere. I guess I missed one battery, and I don't know where. So, but anyway, this is just kind of an idea to give you what this would look like if you were to try to put as much power onto a single platform that is, I mean, you can move this around. I don't know where this would be beneficial, but yeah, you can move this, you know, take your big giant power bank with you. Now, if you were, let me grab my rover over here. I'm going to show you something here. Let's say you've got a rover like this, okay? And that's another video. Well, let's say we've got a rover like this and we want to be able to power up one of the gateway portals. You could actually make one of these, stick it on there, and this will definitely provide you enough power to open any of the gateway portals on any of the planets. Because if you look, I mean, that is 12 at 24 each. That will be more than enough. Not that you would ever get to that much, you know, that many medium or small batteries. I mean, that's 288 small batteries. I mean, not that you would ever need to ever make that many small batteries. But if you did, and let's say you just came across a whole bunch of lithium and you wanted to make you a whole bunch of batteries, you could do it. So, I mean, this is the way to do it. Now you can go plug this in anywhere and you will have plenty of power to open any portal. Anyway, I know I kind of digressed. We'll pull back around here, but this is, you know, hopefully give you an idea of the way that the power generation items work. So you have, you know, again, we'll start over here. Let's take the RTG. We'll just take it right there. So again, starting, we have the small generator, small solar, small wind, medium generator, medium solar, medium wind, and then of course the small battery and the medium battery, the solar array, and the RTG. All right, now if we were to put these in order of their power, how much power they can make, these I think would swap. I think we'd have to swap these items right here. Come on off, come on, put you there. Wanted to snap back on there. So we go like this, because this is half a unit of power, this is half a unit of power, and this is 1 unit of power, 2 units of power, and 3 units of power. And then of course with the batteries being a little bit separate, 1 and 3. The RTG provides 4 units of power, and the solar array providing 8 units of power. So that's it. I hope this helped. If you were curious about the way power items work, how, you know, how much power you're actually going to get out of each one, I'm hoping that this kind of answers some of those questions. Maybe it gives you a better idea of what you might need, where or when. But if, you know, you have any questions, let me know below. What power item do you think is the most beneficial? What do you think is kind of the most worthless power? Is there one? Anyway, let me know in the comments below, and I will see you on the next one.